Hey guys, it's Dave coming to you from the paddock here in Southern Maryland. It's about 3 o'clock on Sunday afternoon. It's hard, we're having a tough time catching break on the weather. Temperatures are good, it's about 80 degrees, but the humidity is so high it feels 10 degrees warmer than that. So it's just, anytime we do anything, like all that work I did with the HU stuff, man, you just sweat the last few days, just building bookshelves and moving them and unboxing and unwrapping and placing on it. Man, you just get sweaty. Ugh, it's a, it's a terrible feeling, to be honest. It's one thing to sweat and you work out. It's another when you just do basic stuff. So I wanted to do something really dangerous in this video, and that's make a video about cigars. I'm an idiot when it comes to cigars. I thought maybe an idiot doing an informational presentation on cigars might be found useful by those who are new to them or want a little more information about them. So I'm going to try it. If you're at all an experienced cigar smoker or an expert smoker or an advanced smoker, please turn this video off. It's really not meant for you. It'll make you cringe more than anything. I'll probably get several things wrong. It is not meant to be a comprehensive review of cigars. I'm not going to go through every type, every size. I'm not going to go through the nuances. I'm not going to go through all the domestic and foreign sources. I'm not going to do any of that. I'm basically going to talk about, what makes up a cigar, what different sizes are out there, what are basically the two main wrappers we deal with, and then how do you cut one so you get a great cut every single time. So that's pretty much what I'm going to try and do on this video. So for me, I've smoked cigars off and on for the last 30 years. I'm in the third phase of my cigar lifestyle. The first one was in purely at golf courses. I'd go out with three of my buddies. We'd all buy a cheap cigar. We'd literally light it and then throw it on the ground when we teed off. Sometimes we'd set it on something. Sometimes we wouldn't. I mean, talk about stupid, all the pesticides and chemicals at a golf course. We literally just throw it down, tee off, pick it up, and keep going. Sometimes we'd put it on our towel or something, but a total disrespect for it. Clearly, I learned nothing about them. I enjoyed the smoke. I found out very quickly that smoking a cigar calms me down more than just about anything else I can do. So I enjoyed it on the golf course. The second phase was in a really fancy, nice cigar bar in downtown DC. It's called Shelley's Back Room. It's still in existence and still in operations today. It was only 3 blocks from the headquarters of the company I owned. We were on 11th in Pennsylvania, and Shelley's was about 3 blocks from there. Shelley's was actually granted one of the 2 grandfather licenses when DC went smokeless. So there's only 2 cigar shops, I believe, left open in DC. Anyway, I did a lot of business in Shelley's. And Shelley's was sort of a high-end, so I learned a lot about the Fuente line, the Opus X lines, the Reserve lines. And, that lasted several years. And then several more years went by. And now I'm in my third phase. You see it on this channel. I probably smoke a cigar in my backyard 4 nights a week. Sometimes it's a dog yard chat. Sometimes it is a fireside chat. But the other part of it is you see that beautiful humidor I have in my Wyoming house. And when I'm in Wyoming, I probably go to the cigar shop 5 or 6 days a week. So I'm learning a lot. Those guys are kind of all over it. And Dave, the guy who manages the store, is really, truly a cigar expert. So he teaches me what is the higher end, what's the unobtainium, what's rare. And so that's the third phase. Those are my 3 phases over the last 30 years. There are big gaps in between. Probably from smoking on the golf course to smoking in Shelley's was a 5 or 8 year gap, and the gap between Shelley's and what I'm doing now is probably another 10-year gap. But that's a little bit of history of the idiot talking to you and the basis of my knowledge for what I'm going to try and do in this video. I'm going to turn you around now, and I got a couple of slides that I want to go over. So one thing is important on every hobby is lingo, language, vocabulary, and I sometimes find myself deep into a hobby without learning the basics of the lingo. And so these are 3 words that I hear all the time, that like when I listen to an Uncle Willie video, or a Sean at Ghost Cop video, the guys, they talk about these things all the time, and I didn't really know what it meant for a long time. So I just looked it up and pulled this picture together so you can see where is the filler. It's right dead in the middle of the core. The binder goes around the core, and the wrapper then goes around the binder. And they say most of the flavor of a cigar comes from the wrapper, so the wrapper type means a lot. And you hear people talk about it's a triple Cuban, meaning all 3 parts came from Cuba. It's a triple Ecuadorian, that all 3 parts came from Ecuador. Or you'll hear, the guys like Uncle Willie will tell you, well, the binder is this, the filler is that, and the wrapper is this. And there's 3 different, and they bring a complex taste and smoke profile to you. But anyway, I just want to show you a picture. Again, if you're a seasoned cigar smoker, you probably should turn off the video. And then I just like this because I live in tobacco country. Southern Maryland has been a tobacco state for years. And in fact, Calvert County, the county I live in, still has a tobacco leaf on its flag as the main thing. And the grounds that the Maryland State Capitol sits on today was purchased several hundred years ago using bales of tobacco. So anyway, I like this one because it shows you the leaf quality goes up the further down the plant you go. So the top leaves usually go to the filler. These middle leaves end up being the binders, and the lowest usually the highest quality, and they end up being the wrapper. I just thought that was kind of cool. I had not seen a picture that was so clear before. All right, guys, the last slide I want to show you is size, because man, size gets confusing. And what I've done is I just pulled up a slide that shows, got how many, 10, 12 sizes, but I in my experience, have only come across some of these. Like I routinely come across the Robusto. I routinely come across the Corona. I routinely come across the Toro. But when I do, I'm trying to get these. I'm trying to get the 6x60. We'll talk about that in a minute. And it's not, I've never heard it called a double Toro Gordo. Normally I've run into it called the Gigante. So 6x60 is a great size, and I'll show you one in a minute. And then I run into Churchill's all the time on purpose, and then the double Corona. So for me, what is that? 1, 2, 3. Those are the 5 sizes. But you can see I didn't cut any of them out. I just left them all on the slide for you. So you can see how long each one is. So we always say it 2 numbers, and I just use that. I use 6x60. So here it is. There's a 6x60, what I call the Toro or the Gigante. 6 by 60. So the other number on here is how thick. How thick is your cigar? How big or round is it? What is the ring gauge? And so you can see for each named size, there's a different ring gauge. And I'll show you some of the examples of these here in a minute. All right, so that's your lingo that I was years in before I knew any of it. Filler, binder, wrapper, size, name, ring gauge. Anyway, don't know if that helps at all, but I wanted to put it all in one place. All right, the last part of my video is going to be about the wrapper type and give you some real examples. So clearly 2 of these are different than the rest, right? So these are Churchill's, and these are I don't know, the Toro, the Double Toro, the Gigante, the Gordo. I mean, again, that's the problem. There's so many different words for these. So this is my Partagas Black. You see me smoke these in the yard quite a bit. This is my Oliva V Liga Especial. And then I got two Charter Oaks. We'll talk about those in a minute. So these are both 6x60. And then this is another one of my favorites. This is my Davidoff Late Hour. It's a Winston Churchill. These are pretty much all Maduro wraps. That's the other thing you'll hear, natural versus Maduro. This is the only natural. The rest of these are Maduro. And then my Oliva V Melanio. This is another one of my absolute favorites. Now this one has to be a Churchill size. Typically I buy a little bit larger ring gauge, but this is a great size. So the Churchill Late Hour and then my Churchill Oliva V Melanio. And then two more 6x60s, but they're very different. And so this is the Charter Oak. It's a great brand. And here you have the Maduro. Here you have the natural. And here you have the Maduro. This is about the only natural cigar I have in my collection. I'm not much for the natural. It's a much lighter. Some people call it smoking hot air. I wouldn't go that far, but I enjoy the bolder, darker, spicier, in your face, and that's why I have so many Maduros. And you can see how dark the Partagas Black is. So anyway, there you go. I don't know what else to say. Now you've seen 6x60, you've seen Churchill, you've seen my favorite brands, and the last thing I'm gonna do is show you how to cut a perfect cigar every time. So Corbett Jim alluded to learning this trick from me, and I learned it from a buddy out in Wyoming. So you just lay your cutter flat on a flat surface. It's just that easy. You lay it down in the cutter and you cut. That's it. And what you get is a perfectly shaved cap every single time. I have never had this method screw up ever. So if you like a V cut, you can do the same thing. If you like the punch cut, you can't really do it this way. But if you're sort of new to cigars, if you're a beginner to cigars, I suggest you do the flat cut. It gives you the best draw. It's the easiest to produce. It's the easiest to be consistent with. Guys, that's all I'm going to try and do in my cigar tutorial video today. I can hear you yelling at the camera. You left this out. You got this wrong. So maybe, let's keep teaching each other. Let's teach ourselves. Put some, there's whole books on this. There's whole magazines on this. There's entire series of YouTube videos on this. There's a 20-minute video on how to light your cigar. There's a 20-minute video on how to cut your cigar. There's an hour-long tutorials on wrappers and on sizes and how to pick the best for you, right? That's not what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get some basic lingo out there for the people who maybe are either thinking about starting smoking a cigar or have smoked a few and the lingo's a little bit confusing. That's all I'm trying to do here. I hope it helps. Guys, it's Sunday. I will probably do a Sunday evening dog yard cigar smoke tonight. So put some of it into practice. Talk to you later, guys. Bye.